This is Gemara and Eruvin Daf Nun. This is Yom Kippur's Daf. Of course, we're going to get this up much before Yom Kippur. So if anyone wants to learn it before Yom Kippur, you can learn it after Yom Kippur. But anyways, of course, with the learning for this week, the week of Yom Kippur, the week of leading up to Sukkot, is sponsored as Festival Chushvu Shleimer for Shimon Yehuda Leib Ben Parachayu, who's fighting cancer, as well as Brendel Chana Bas Esther, who they also found some sort of cancerous growth. And Mirza Shem, they should have a refuah Shleimer. The schos of all the learning of the entire Chabura, especially during this wonderful, incredibly holy week, should be a schos for them. Of course, all the chedim yidemer ben yikir men ben chamber mechan ider shalom schaim and sarah shalom siben reizei dos arba skena de basim baschei sar yuschaim bisaras yusil be middle is the president of lay shalom bas nabi ve shavegam shachana rafal dav min yitri ben ben chan reizel chaim nachem ben mindel besoich shar chedi Israel. We pick it up in the bottom of Mem Tes Amud Beis. We're in the middle of a fascinating discussion between Rav and Shmuel, discussing what did the Mishnah mean when the Mishnah said loy amar klum, in a case that you said I'm kind of shvisa by the tree. Let's pull up the picture that we had yesterday to jog everyone's memory, to get back into it. You're standing 4,000 amos. It's getting dark. You see in this picture, it's getting dark. What a beautiful sunset. And you're 4,000 amos from your city, but you see a tree down the road. So said the Mishnah, if you say you're kind of shvisa by the root of the tree, the trunk of the tree, which we're going to talk about in a moment, then it's going to be great. Then you can be allowed to travel 2,000 amos to the trunk of the tree, 2,000 amos to your city. Miracle, 4,000 amos on Shabbos, and you're allowed to go in. But what happens? You didn't say that you were not precise. You said I'm kind of shvisa by the tree, and the tree is very wide, as we're going to see today exactly how big the tree is. Says the Gemara, what happens? You have an issue. Says Rav Loimer Klum, you don't get anything. You're not specific, which we'll talk about in a moment. You get nothing, and therefore you're stuck in your Daled Amos right now. Says Shmuel, no, not that you get nothing. You just can't enter into the city. Why not? As you see in the picture in front of you, what happens is you could get to the tree, but since we don't know which half of the tree, if you measure from the east, you go to the west, measure from the west, you go to the east. And basically what's going to happen is you're stuck 20, 30 amos, so as wide as the tree is, you're stuck outside of the city. So let's just get a running start into the Gemara. We'll start on Mem Tes Amud Beis. Let's just read the words of the Machlekes Rav Shmuel before we go into today's Daf Nun. You get nothing. Like we just explained, the base and therefore effectively you're going to be 30 amos, or as wide as the tree, out from the city. If anyone wants to know what the Chazar Shirim sounds like, that's exactly what they sound like. I highly advise everyone, not by Chazar, any Chazar, as we know, any Chazara makes it so much greater. A few minutes every day could really make a tremendous difference. And to clarify, by the way, when we put up Chazar Shir and we read the Gemara, we just read it fast, as everyone can do it on their own, but a little incentive to read it together, and really solidifies the daf. Let's pick it up, Daf Nun. Amar Rabba, my time of the Rabba. What's the reason of Rav? Rav says, Loi Mer Klum. Misham Deloi Misayim Asrei. Says Rav is teaching us a very important rule. The loy misayim asrei. You were not precise in your place. The way to be kind of shvisa when Shabbos begins, we're now into Erev Tchumim. We keep on flopping back and forth. Yesterday was a lot of Erev Chatzeris. Now we're into Erev Tchumim. When you want to create an Erev Tchumim, you have to be precise. Where are you living? Where is your makim shvisa? Says Rav, you were precise. You said some tree over there. You get nothing. Vikadamri, another shot. Amar Rav, my time of the Rav. A very important rule that Rav holds. Anything that you can't do one after another, it will not work simultaneously. Now, that sounded like a little bit of a tongue twister. Let's Rashi explain it, and this is important to understand, because this whole Amid is going to be trying to prove this rule of Rav, whether it could stand the test of time. Says Rashi, we're in Rashi, 3 lines into the narrow lines, Nun Amid Aleph, the Kivon. Let's say you said that my ear should be in the 4 northern amos of the tree, then you can't afterwards say that I want the 4 southern amos of the tree. So ki amar nami kulo. So then, when you say I want my shvisa to be in the tree, this greater entity, this 30 amos area, then you get nothing. Since you can't do one after another, I can't say it's a 30 amos tree. So I can't say I want to be able to go 2,000 amos until the first part of the tree, and then I want to be able to go for the second half of the tree. It doesn't work. You got to choose your battles. Anytime something does not work subsequently, A after B, then it does not work simultaneously. Says the Gemara, my beinayu. What's the difference in these 2 pshatim in Rav? The 2 pshatim in Rav explaining the opinion of Rav, the loy merklum, means you get nothing and you're stuck in your daled amos. Let's say someone said, I want to be kind of 4 amos of the tree within 8 amos. So the According to the first opinion that says, why does Rav say you're not going to shvisa? Because you have to be precise. In this case, you were precise, you were not precise. You said, I want 4 out of 8. That's not precise, so you don't get any shvisa, you're stuck where you are. However, according to the second opinion, if it doesn't work one after another, then it doesn't work together. Hi, karba amis dummy. In this case, it would work one after another. It's like 4 amis. Because you said 4 amis. What did you say? You said, I want 4 within 8. So now any 4 within that 8 is going to work. It could theoretically work one after another, meaning, because your words just meant, I want somewhere within this 8. And therefore, according to that opinion, it would work. That is the practical difference between these two opinions of Rabbah, how he learns of Rabbah. But now let's go, how he learns of Rabbah, I'm sorry. Now it says the Gemara Gufa, let's go into the second understanding of Rabbah, how we explain Rav, this rule of Koshenim Zeh Chazeh, Afilu V'Zachas Einoi. Gufa says the Gemara, Amar Rabbah, Kol Davar Shenim Zeh Chazeh, Afilu V'Zachas Einoi. Anything that does not work one after another, does not work by together. Esvei Abayi LeRabbah. We have a bunch of questions. Starts off the game, says Abayi. Amar Be Bin Meiser Esav. Someone who increases his Meiser. What is Meiser? Meiser is a 10th, as the word Meiser means. You have to give a 10th, but he goes and he gives a 5th. He goes and he gives an 8th. So what's the din? Again, let's give a simple case. You have 10 fruits, so a Meiser is going to be 1/10 you're going to give to the Levi, and you go and you give 2 fruits to the Levi. Peiroisa misukanim. The remaining 8 fruits, they're misukan, because for sure you gave off Meiser. However, the Levi is messed up because the Levi now has 2 apples and he doesn't know which one is Meiser, so he can't eat either one. The Meiser is mekukal, but the fruit is fixed. Says the Gemara, 1 second. Amai, why is the fruit fixed? Lema, why don't we say the following rule that you just taught us? Why don't you say just like if I go and I went and I take off 1 apple and I say this is Meiser and give it to the Levi, and I take off another apple and I say this is Meiser to the Levi, it wouldn't work. So why now do we say the fact that I did it all at once, that it works and my fruit is metukan? Let's see Rashi over here. These are all concepts that are difficult concepts. They're not really our sugya so much. Let's take it with Rashi. Says Rashi is, drop further down, Rashi about 20 lines before the wide lines. Nema. My Pirosim Misukanim, says the Gemara. Nema kol she'ena b'zecher zeh. The ilu avi mafresh meiser kil chasei. Let's say you gave a meiser properly. V'adar shakel su v'karya li shei meiser. And then you did it again. Al chulin shenikneku kvar lo yichai lo shei meiser. That which you did doesn't do anything. V'hashanami. So in our case, ki afresh hai tufaini, when you separated too much in meiser, lo yichai shei meiser afilu ala royla meiser. It shouldn't either work on that which you did. Ki echidamar gabi shvisa, just like we said a moment ago. T'lo yikani arba minayu migoy timni ki lo yam arba b'edyi. Basically, if this rule is correct, that whenever something doesn't work one after another, it can't work simultaneously, so why in our case does it work? We're saying what happens, I take up 2 apples, I give it to the Levi, we say it works. My rest of those other 8 apples are good. Why? If I did one after another, it wouldn't work. So why when I do 2 together, does it work? Answers the Gemara, Meiser is different. Shiny Meiser, don't ask me for Meiser, Meiser is different. These are the Chatzayin, because you could give off Meiser in halves. What does that mean? If you said I want every half kernel of the wheat to be kadosh, kacha, it wouldn't work. And therefore, says the Gemara, it's not a question. Meaning, when I went and I took off 2 apples for this larger entity, since it could work in halves, that every half of that apple is going to be considered a meiser, that's the reason why it's going to work. Even though normally the rule tells me, when I take off 1, I take off another one, it doesn't work, I can't do them together. Meiser is different. Because Meiser could work, we're allowed to split hairs, and we're allowed to say that each and every grain, half of it gets chal, half of it becomes Meiser, half of it is going to be holy, and that's the reason why it's going to work in this case. Very good. So the Gemara says, fine. What about Meiser Behema? That's when it comes to Meiser, Paris, and wheat, etc. What about Meiser Behema? Asks the Gemara. Meiser Behema, that doesn't work in half. 2 animals, you have 10 animals, you got to give the 10th one as meiser. So 2 animals jump out the door, squish through the door as the 10th one. We know the animals walk out, you count 1, 2, 3, when it gets to 10, you take the paint, slap it on the animal, and that one is kaddish. What happens? 2 animals jump through the door at the same time. Vakarna Asiri, Karna Asiri, 2 jumped out together, and you call them both number 10. Asiri, Vachad Asar, Mu'arvin Zebazah. They're both considered mu'urav, meaning they both get the name of Meiser. It is chal. It does work that other animals are fixed, and they both get the name of Meiser. Same question, says the Gemara. I don't understand. Just like over here, if one would come out and then the next one would come out, it wouldn't work with zeh or zeh. So too, it shouldn't work when you do vasachas. Answers the Gemara, shiny meiser beima, disa b'zeh or zeh b'tayis. Gemara says, no, you're wrong. It does work one after another when you make a mistake. Tetanan, like we learned in the Mishnah. Someone's counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then when number 9 walks out, he says 10. He messed up. He calls number 9 10. And then he oh, wait. Then the next one walks out, which is number 10. He says, you're number 9. And then the next one walks out, then he calls that one 10. Basically, he's all confused. He calls 9, 10, 10, 9, and 11, 10. What's the halacha? Shloshtan mikudashin. They're all mikudash. So what do we see? We see that Meiser Behema is something that does work with Zeh Chazeh. That if one comes after another and you separate and you call one Meiser and you Batai call another one Meiser, it works. So too, if they come at the same time, it's going to work. Therefore, it's not a kasha on Rav who explained the rule of Rav that said that Kol Shein Zeh Chazeh does not work b'vasachas. Says the Gemara, another question. Very taida. What about the carbon taida? You got to bring all these loaves of bread. The last of it doesn't work with tais. Doesn't work by mistake. The last of it and it doesn't work one after another. Ve'itmar, and yet we learned taida shenishchata al shmeinim chalos. When you bring a carbon taida, how many breads, how many chalos you have to bring? 40. You shechted the carbon taida, and how many chalos did you bring? 80. So we have a machlekes. Chizkiya Amar, Kidshu Allah Mem B'Tech Shmeinim. Says Chizkiya, 40 of those 80 are Kaddish. 40 of them are go as the carbon taida. Rav Yechon Amar, no, like it, Jolem Mem B'Tech Shmeinim. No, 40 don't work. So what's the question? According to Chizkiya, how does it work? We just said that carbon taida, the chalos don't work with Zachar Zeh. The rule of Rav said anything that does not work one after another should not work simultaneously. So in this case, if it doesn't work one after another, why did Chizkiya teach me that when I went and I gave 40 of the 80 are going to be Kaddish, 40 of the 80 are going to be a carbon taida? Says the Gemara, tomorrow law, we learned on this, Amar Rav Zera. Kol Maidim. Everyone admits, Heicha da Amar Likachu Arba Mitech Shmainim. What is the machlekes Chizkiya and Rav Yechon? Everyone admits that if you said I want to make holy 40 amongst 80 dekachi, that works. Let's say someone said, I don't want 40 to be holy unless all 80 are holy. Everyone says it doesn't work, so only allowed to give 40. What is the machlekes Chizkiya and Rav Yechanan? Bistama. Machlekes is you went and you took 80 loaves of bread and you gave them to the Kohen. You brought them to the Beis HaMikdash. How do we view that? Again, if you said that you say explicitly, out of these 80, I want 40 to be holy, that works. If you said I give 80 and I say I only want all of them to work, then it doesn't work. I don't want 40 to work unless 80 work, it doesn't work. What happens if I just give 80 stam? Kibligi bistama. That's the machlekes Chizkiya and Rav Yechanan. Mar savar lachrayis kamachavin. You're just giving it as a chrayis. Let's say the first 40 get lost. Let's say the first 40 become tamei. So you want another 40, you just want to be sure. Val tanai aisine, and you're giving them al tanai. And that's why it says Chizkiya 40 out of 80 are work. Because the other 40 are not actually karbanis, they're just, they're just a guarantee, they're just insurance, so it works. Whereas Rav Yechanan holds, moving on to none of the beis, umar savar, the carbon gadol kol machavi, no, you wanted to bring one big carbon, and that's why it does not work. And says the Gemara, that's not a question. Again, the question was that it doesn't work with Zachar Zeh. You can't bring 40, then another 40 loaves of bread. So what's the reason if I give 80 and I say that 40, that Chizkiya holds that 40 of them are holy? Answers the Gemara, you know why? If you said explicitly you want 80, it doesn't work. If you said explicitly you want 40, it does work. The machlekes Chizkiya and Rav Yechanan is when you said, here's 80 and you don't say anything. So Chizkiya says, what is your intention? You just want 40 and 80, you want the rest to be insurance, so it's going to work. And Rav Yechanan argues, says you want 80, so it's not going to work. But again, this is not a question on the rule of Rabbah explaining Rav, that kol she'enei b'zachar zeh, fil v'zachas einei. And that is how the Gemara concludes. Amar Abaye, back into the Mishnah. Back to the Mishnah, that we have our tree. We have our tree that's within 4,000 amos. Smack between me and the city is a tree at 2,000 amos. Amar Abaye lo yishanu. We did not learn the din in the Mishnah. That Rav taught us lo yamar klum, that you don't get anything. Only lo yishanu ela be'ilan shetachtav yud beis amma. Only if the tree is 12 amos wide, or bigger than 12 amos wide. Aval be'ilan she'in tachlev yud beis amma. If the tree is not 12 amos wide, harei mixas beis nicker. Then part of your house is going to be nicker, and therefore, let's say it's 11 amos wide, Then you have part of the branches, and you have the trunk, and then you have part of the branches. So then we're going to be able to say that you said the branches, then we're going to be able to say that the city is within your 4,000 amos, and it's going to work. Before we explain, let's just see the Gemara, because the Gemara is really going to clarify a little bit right now. 4 lines down. What are you talking about? That was, you're telling me it's because the 4 middle guys, that's what you have in mind. Dilma, how do you know that? Meaning, if you told me that if it's 11 amos, it's going to work. What do you obviously say? Because you're saying that when you say a stam tree, you want the guys in the middle. So if it's 11, what do you got? You got 3, you got 3, you got 4 in the middle. That's how it's going to work. But ask Rav Huna Breit Rav Yeshua, which is what's bothering everyone. How do you know that? Maybe you mean 4 on that side, or 4 on that side, and therefore if it's 11 amos, you're still not going to be able to get into the city. Again, before you continue, let's pull back up the same picture we started with. Again, if this tree is 11 amos and we're saying that you want smack in the middle of 4, then okay. But ask the Gemara, how do you know that? When you just said stam, this tree, and it's 11 amos wide, maybe you mean the 4 amos in the left, or the 4 amos in the right. And therefore, what's going to happen? You're not going to be able to enter the city. So what exactly is going on? So says the Gemara, that we're talking about a tree which is 8 amos wide. That makes a lot of sense. Then already mixes base a nicker. Then it's always going to work, because if it's zayin amos, if it's 7 amos, then according to all opinions, sorry, we just lost ourselves over here. Here we are. But according to all opinions, if it's zayin amos, then you're going to be able to get into your city, because you're going to be able to get 2,000 amos to the tree, and then you're going to be able to get another 2,000 amos to your city. And even if we say, again, let's just pull up the picture one more time. Here, if this is not 30, but 7, so let's play it out. You get 2,000 amos in your smack right here in the middle, and then let's say you measure from the other half of the tree, still it's only 8 amos, right? 7 amos. So therefore, if you first got these 4, and then you got these 4, they overlap in the middle 1 amma, and therefore, whichever way you cut it, you're going to be able to enter the city. So if it's 7 amos, you can be able to enter the city. Tani kavase de Rav, Tani kavase de Shmuel. That's the end of how big the tree is. The tree is 7 amos. The tree is larger than 7 amos. That's machlokes Rav and Shmuel. Again, Rav says lo yamar klum. Shmuel said yichamar gamol. You get whichever half. You're just not going to get into the city. Says the Gemara, Tani kavase de Rav, Tani kavase de Shmuel. Second one line, none of my base. You have a right with Rav and Shmuel. Tani kavase de Rav will bring you right to Rav. Again, the opinion of Rav was that when you're not misayim, when you're not clear where you're kainish visa, you get nothing. Misha baba derech, someone's going on the road of a chashkaloi, and it turns dark. Vayamakir ilana geder, and you recognize a tree or a wall of amr shvisasi tachtov, and you say you want to dwell underneath that area. This is the first part of the Mishnah. Loimer klum, you don't get anything. Avol, however, mamar shvasi makomplaini. This is the Brisa. The Brisa continues. But if you said I want my shvis to be in a specific place, then you're allowed to walk to that place. Let's say you walk to that place, you get that area, and then you get 2,000 amos outside of that area. Now we explain the Brisa. When is that? Is when it's clear. When is this whole din true? That if you said I want this specific place, then you get that specific place, and then once you get 2,000 amos, is when it's a specific area. It's a tal, it's a mound, and the mound is 10 tefachim tall, 4 amos wide, until 2 sasayim wide, 2 sa. So, like we've seen many times, that's the size and area of a normal area. So if that's the size, it's going to work. V'chein bikin, so do a valley. Shiamuka yo, that's 10 tefachim divi medalad amos abisasayim, and it's 4 amos wide until basasayim. Avol, says the Bryce, so the Bryce is explaining. Let's say you were not clear. You say I want to be kind of shvis on that area, and you were not clear where that is. Then you only get your original dalad amos. So we see clearly, like the opinion of Rav, that when you said I want to live in that specific place, and that specific place is a clearly defined, delineated area. It is 4 amos by 10 tefachim tall by 4 amos wide, or more till 2 sa, or 10 tefachim deep by 4 amos wide or 2 sa. Then it's great. But says the Bryce clearly, if it's not misuyum, it's not clear. Just like Rav. Now the Bryce continues. Let's say you're walking with a friend, and your friend recognizes a certain area, and you do not. So I don't know where I am. So you know what I do? I go to my friend and say, you recognize a tree, you recognize a mound, you recognize an area. I'm giving over my shvisa to you. I'm becoming dependent upon you. And the one that recognizes the area, I'm going to live in that area. V'medvar mamurim. So when's it going to work? Shemisayim. Again, the Brisa continues. It's going to work when he knows a specific area. Davar acher. Kishasim Dalit Amos, when he has a specific 4 Amos, Shekava that he specifies. Avaloisim Dalit Amos Shekava, you can't move from his place. So what do we see clearly, as clear as day in this brisa? That when there is a place that is clear, pardon that one, when you have a clearly defined area, then it works. If not, what do you have? You're stuck in your area, you just get your Dalit Amos. Shmuel. This is such a beautiful right. Rav, it's a question on Shmuel. Shmuel answers, what's this case talking about? Where it's from your feet until that place, Trey Alfi Va'arba Gamidi. 2004, Garmidi meaning Amos, steps Amos. And therefore, if we put you on the other side, the elan of the tree, come lay, it's going to end up out in your tchum. And that's the reason why it's not going to work. Meaning it's a tactical issue, says Shmuel, that it's not 2,000 amos from you, it's 2004 amos from you. Isayim dalat amos, matiazol. And therefore, if you define the 4 amos, you can go there. Vim loy matiazol. And that's how Shmuel defends his opinion by saying that he makes an ukimta in this case, that the case is talking about that it's 2004 amos away from you, and that's the reason why, in this price, it's only going to work if you're clearly in your area. Before we continue, let's see a Rashi. Rashi over here, a little bit difficult to find this tremendous Amid. Rashi says, let's just see one Rashi. Rashi says again, what did Shmuel answer? Shmuel answered, let's see Rashi in that. Rashi is about 7 lines into the wide lines. We're going to see this Rashi, then we're going to see the Raya to Shmuel, and then we're going to call it a day. 7 lines into the wide lines, says Shmuel, when did it say you can't move from your place? Going, for example, the Ika mimakai maraglov adi karai trei alfei v'dal garmidi trei alfei l'tchuma. 2,000 amos to the tchum, v'dal l'shvisa, and the 4 amos that you live in. Kulan kalan mimakam ragla v'adi karai v'adayin noif the idach kisa, and the tree overlaps outside of dila noitachotz lekulan, and therefore you can have a technical issue that tree is not within your 2,000 amos. And now the Gemara explains the mukasla b'idach kisa dilan kam le'levar mitchume shemat nois l'shvisa tachas hanoif. If we tell you you that tree that you said is 2,000 amos away, you want to dwell underneath it shaba'avar sheni, but on the other side of the tree. It's outside of your tchum. And that's the reason why the Brisa said, but if you didn't say clear 4 amos, then maybe it's the other side of the tree. And that's the reason why you're only going to get the 4 amos. That is how Shmuel answers up and defends his opinion. Back into the Gemara, says the Gemara, Tani Kavasi to Shmuel. Again, that was a riot to Rav, and that's how Shmuel answered. Shmuel answered that the Kimta, the case was that it was 2004 amos away, and therefore, if you clearly said which 4 amos it could work, but if not, it will not work. That's why you can't move. And now, like Shmuel said, Chamar Gamal, Shmuel said normally we let you go to the tree and as much as you need within the tree. Shmuel, Tav, Irav l'shtei ruchais. Let's say you made a mistake and you made an Irav in 2 directions. Or you thought you made an Irav in 2 directions. He said to your servant, you have 2 servants, and one made an Erev to the north, and one made an Erev to the south. You're allowed to go to the north, like your Erev, L'daran. I'm sorry. You could go to the north like your Erev to the south, go to the south like your Erev to the north. What does that basically mean? That basically means you have again your 2,000 amos, the parts in the middle that they overlap, that's you're going to be allowed to walk because you're being pulled in both directions. But and then if you get stuck in the middle, you can't move anywhere. If it's smack in the middle, 2,000 this way, 2,000 this way, you're stuck in the middle, you can't move anywhere. Clearly we see, just like Shmuel, what do we see? We see that when you have 2 different areas to go, what did Shmuel say? That you look at the sum total, you look at the area in the middle. Rav says, Gemara, you're right. It would theoretically be a question of Rav. However, Rav, Tanu, Polig. Rav's let argue. Rav argues on Bryce. Different. Rav's going to argue on this, and Rav's going to say, true that there's a clear Bryce like Shmuel. However, I disagree, and we'll pick it up from the bottom tomorrow.